excited to introduce you to Manuel Herranz, CEO of Pangenic. That's a company who specializes in NLP. He will tell you more about it. Very local, here around the corner, if somebody wants to visit the office. And we have also the honor to have Juan Manuel Ruiz, CTO of EFE, Agencia EFE, the largest Spanish news agency. And they will really talk about a practical use case, usage of large language models. And for that matter, exploiting large language model for what they haven't been designed for. So, floor is yours. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Okay, can you hear me? Good. Okay, yes, we are a local NLP company. You can't get any more local than being 1 block away. It's really a curious feeling when you get up in the morning, get in the car, go to work, but you don't go to work, you go to a hotel where you're meeting people and you're speaking. This doesn't happen every day. Okay, so we're here not to talk about AI, because I think you've had about 15 sessions on AI already. Okay, we're going to talk about a journey. And everybody likes a journey. Most of you have traveled, so you've had a journey to come to Valencia. And in this case, the journey is the work that we have done for EFE. EFE is the largest news agency, as we shall see in a minute. Okay, yeah. EFE is the largest news agency in Spanish language. Oh. Okay. EFE is the largest agency in Spanish language. Has bureaus in over 180 countries in the world, and we were discussing actually that I recently came back from Japan, talking to GG, one of the largest news agencies there, and there was EFE on the same building on the top floor, and the subject came along. EFE publishes in a number of languages. Juan Luis will summarize what languages they are. And for those languages, they use Pangenic machine translation, which is a custom version that we created specialized in journalism. The website contains over 50, I'm saying this, I think, Juan, you'd be better introducing EFE, not me.
Yeah. Yeah. We provide content, of course, news content, and that we collect from every place in the world, and we try to put it into our customers as soon as possible. So what we always are trying is to get the best tools to get a fast contribution, then a fast and quick edition, and then a fast delivery to our final clients. Yeah, as you mentioned, we do have open content, which is from 2 main reasons. It's because we want to provide news to the public domain, because we think it's part of the nature of our company. We have the commitment to properly communicate what is happening in the world to all the people, not only our customers. In the other side, we use this website to create a showroom that shows which kind of content we can produce. We all know we do text stories, but we do a lot of pictures, video content, multimedia packages, which is a mixture of all these formats. So we really deliver different products that are aimed to different market players. So that's basically what we do in Agencia EFE.
Yep. And they produce 3 million news a year, which is, I don't know what the average is, but it's...
Yeah, it's 3 million text. I think it's around 2 million picture. It's around 800,000 videos. So it's a huge production. Yeah, it's a lot of data to move.
Okay. And not everything is translated.
No. Our main production is focused in Spanish countries, but we try to move the most important and more relevant topics to different languages. We translate for English community, for Brazilian community, because we are very present in all South America, and that includes Brazil. So we try to push in that part, and also for some local languages, especially Catalan here in Catalonia. We provide a segmented, a very curated product for Catalan media.
Okay. Yeah. So next slide, please. Okay. Next slide. And Pangeanic is that building over there. Not the whole building, obviously. Pangeanic is an NLP company. We have been through our history an LSP. In fact, we were the European arm of a Japanese conglomerate. I bought the company out in 2004. And since 2007, 2008, we've been turning the company more into technology, machine translation, statistical, adaptive, neural, and nowadays NLP. So how did our relationship start? It was not an introduction, it was actually an RFP. Pangeanic and EFE met through an open RFP. There were several companies bidding for the project to provide translation services for EFE, and Pangeanic won. The service that we provide is machine translation, and as you know, the first type of AI, which is not true, but anyway, it's a type of AI. Journalists also, they review the translation. Sometimes they act as post editors, but sometimes they don't actually post edit, they change the news. They give it a local flavor.
Yeah. The most important thing is about EFE is credibility. So we cannot publish automatically any automated translated text. So everything we translate is checked, and of course they do some post editing if it's needed. But it's a mandatory step for us. Yeah.
Okay. So why would you use LLMs in this process? Why would you use AI if everything is going so well with neural machine translation? In fact, LLMs suck. They do, but that's not Manuel saying it. You know Yann LeCun? Yeah. Yann LeCun is the head of research at Meta. So he's the guy responsible for producing all the Llama models, Llama 2, Llama 3, Whisper, etc. And this guy in charge, second to Mark Zuckerberg, says LLMs suck. Autoregressive LLMs suck. So why would you use them? Why is everybody so interested in using LLMs in production if one of the head figures of development says they suck? They're not fit for purpose. They're fun to chat with. We'll have a very good time chatting with LLMs, but they're not a product. And especially, they're not a translation product. They can translate. They were not designed for translation. They were not designed for post-editing, even though there's several companies in the world, RWS, us, Translated, and Bubble, bent on doing post-editing with LLMs. They're not good. Well, I would disagree. Okay, they're not designed for named entity recognition to find the actors in a text. They're not designed for many things. They're designed to chat. And during the chat sometimes, they might even hallucinate. So they're not very good pieces of engineering. So why use them? Would you agree with this? Because since last year, all of us have come to a conclusion that all our problems, even personal problems, will be solved by LLMs and AI. In fact, we turned our attention to LLM customization last year when we had a problem, a complaint from EFE, and it was one word in Brazilian Portuguese, like we do remember that case. Thus far, we had translated for EFE 111 million words. We translated 43 million, machine translated last year, one complaint. So how do you stack 43 million, one, I don't like it. There are things like, and everybody is thinking about machine translation, quality estimation, let's stop the things before they hit the client, let's have confidence level, quality scores, blah, 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 one word or two words, one or two words.
Yeah, you're right.
in 43 million in 1 year, in 111 million in 4 years. But I don't like it. We have to change. We have to apply AI. No, we have to apply LLMs for it. I'm sure that you have gone through similar experiences.
Let's say clear that the journalists were complaining, not us. So, this is something I want to remark. Yeah.
Good. Anyway, we had to do something about it. So, for about until that time, okay, the workflow that we had with EFE is the traditional workflow that everybody's familiar with: neural network, NMT, customize, client material, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you get the results because you've seen the samples before, so the machine translates quite well according to what you expect. Typical sentence length, not very complex, between 10 to 20 words. There are some sentences that are a little bit longer, but okay. On average, it's 10 to 20. Okay, that's fine. So, bunch of languages, neural networks, NMT, translation. Okay, no problem with that. And as I said, everything was going fine. 42.3 million in 23, 111 million since 21. Mostly, correct me if I'm wrong, Juan, but it's web articles, internal documentation, reports.
Yeah, it's mainly the original text story, which is usually written in Spanish, and then we ask for translation to different languages to provide content to the idiomatic services.
Mm-hmm. Would you explain how it works? Because I see our end, but I don't know what happens when we send the translation to EFE.
Yeah, we do have our editorial system, which is the core of the production. And then we write a Spanish text story. We can give just a quick connection to your API. And so the journalists just have to click, just make one click, or use the shortcut, the keyword shortcut. So they get the translated in the same editorial system, which everything ready to be published if they think that it's okay. So it's translated, the title, keywords, subject topic, and of course the text of the story itself. So it really saves time for them.
Okay, good. And now let's see where LLMs came into the equation. So Pangianic began, because of EFE, but also other clients, a journey on testing LLMs for things that they were not designed for, with various results. Sometimes we are very frank with our clients and we say, look, we can do it the way you want it, but it's going to cost you 4 times as much, and we're going to run 20 times slower than current systems, as we shall see in a minute. So we did the whole journey. We tested Dolly, we tested Vicuña, we went through a Llama 2. We settled for Llama 2 for a while. It was state of the art. Currently, nowadays, we use Mistral, which is not the last, but the previous Mistral release. It's an 8.7b. You can read all about it on our blog. And what we do on top of these LLMs is apply retrieval augmented generation systems, vector databases, which define the relationships, not like a straight database, house, maison, for example, but in a vector data space. So this can be good for document retrieval, but it can be also good for automated post editing, and a number of other processes, named entity recognition, quality estimation, etc. Well, I'll skip the technical details. You can come to me later on if you want to find out more about it. But the main focus of the project was to find a good way to prompt the LLM. Don't use translate into English, it's very basic. Don't use translate into German, it's very basic. But a very well and lengthy defined prompt to prompt Mixtral and obtain quality translations for also post editing. Okay, and include, like you can see in this case, terminology control at a basic level. For quality estimation, it was a very quick exercise that, sorry, it wasn't quick. I say quick because I've been told 5 minutes. Sorry for that. For quality estimation, we use LLMs to ascertain if the quality of the resulting translation was human grade, subsat, or substandard. So the same way that we'll have sophisticated algorithms to understand whether the confidence level of a translation engine meets quality standards and can pass as good as do not revise or check or low quality score, an LLM can do pretty quickly. Sorry, can do it pretty efficiently, but not quickly. We also find that the latest models, Mixtral, and this is data from January this year, Mixtral is much more efficient at languages than any of the Llama models. You have to pump lots of data and customize Llama efficiently. Even Llama 3, which is very good at coding and some reasoning, but it doesn't. It's 95% English, so they haven't taken into account languages. But MTQ is very good at downstream tasks. And what I mean by that is that once you tag a sentence and you say this quality, this sentence is green light, is human grade quality, with yellow, send it to post editing. You can automate many processes and you can find very useful KPIs. Structured data, this was not for EFE, it was part of the journey. It helps you to understand what type of data you have in front of you as well. And add it and classify with perplexity tags in our case. Okay, so it does help machine translation quality estimation because you can understand how difficult or what type of sentences the text belongs to. In this case, our finding was that traditional Bayesian code with statistical systems is as fast as and cheaper to run than an LLM. You would not use an LLM for that. And then perhaps the most interesting machine quality, a downstream task, like I said, is the one that we have implemented in order to ensure that the journalist's preferences are taken into account, is semi-automatic post editing. So it's a kind of data classification and quality estimation. I'll skip anonymization because it's just one more. So combining the 4 disciplines, what we get now is a checking system whereby the client's preferences can be taken into account and massage the resulting raw MT text according to the terminology of the client. And thus far, touch wood, no complaints. So challenges, there are many challenges ahead. The system is working for a client in a very specific situation with very specific guidelines and very specific terminology. Our challenge is to make the system grow at scale for many other clients and situations. So conclusions. LLMs suck. Hard work. They are not the answer for everything, but LLMs can be the answer to laborious tasks by humans whilst giving you very useful KPIs, production KPIs. Also, the result is not the same. Luckily, the languages that we deal with EFE are working languages in the LLMs that we have. If we were working in Swahili or in very low resource languages, we probably wouldn't be talking about such good KPIs. And I think that's it. And we are open for questions. Oh yeah, the results.
Yeah, you mentioned no issues since we changed the model we are using for translation. And that means that the system is ready to be used by our 1,000 journalists spreading all over the world. So it's really working great, and every day, a lot of times.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Manuel and Juan Manuel.
Thank you, Laura.
Any questions from Constantine?